The four kind of main pillars of language arts are reading, writing, spelling, and grammar. And those all together kind of encompass what language arts is. And last week we talked about how I teach reading and spelling, and this week we're going to talk all about writing and grammar. With language arts being one of those core subjects, it is definitely one of the things that we do every single day in our homeschool. However, every day is a little bit different. We don't do all four of these aspects every day in our homeschool. We rotate through them. We are covering one or two of the main four language arts topics on a given day so that our kids get a little bit of variety and don't get burnt out doing the exact same thing every single day. I will link a video here for you that kind of shows you how I set up our daily schedule and what types of subjects we do on which days, in case you're interested in seeing kind of how we piece all of these things together. My biggest tip with teaching writing and grammar is to read a lot and read really good books, read good literature, read good stories. Try to avoid what's known as like the twaddle, the more popular contemporary books that just don't use good English language. Try to avoid those things and focus on books that have good written language in them so that your kids are exposed to high quality writing from the get-go. And the more that they are exposed to that kind of stuff, the more that's going to become a part of their own writing style as they get older and learn to do more creative writing of their own. In our homeschool, we do writing twice a week and we do grammar twice a week, and we rotate between those things. My third grader and fifth grader are both doing the same level this year for both of those things because my fifth grader has dyslexia, and so he needs a little bit more foundation and work in these areas, as well as my third grader is more advanced, so they kind of meet in the middle and we are doing these together. So each day we will either get out our grammar or our writing, and then I will work through the lesson with them that is in the book for that day. So for writing, we are using writing and rhetoric. This is a classical method approach to teaching writing, which is basically where you are learning from the greats, people that have written great works in the past, and you learn kind of by reading their writings and then practicing similar things how to write well yourself. And so it kind of uses like the teacher modeling something and then you modeling your works after that style. So I really like this approach to teaching writing, and I think that's something that we're probably going to continue with in future years. Each week we'll have a fable that you read through together. There's some copy work and dictation that you do as part of it, and then some questions that you have to answer. And then it has some sentence play type stuff in there where you kind of, it gives you a base and then you amplify it. So you're adding in more adjectives and more description words, or it will have you take the whole passage and then figure out how to write a summary of it, and then it will have you sometimes write your own fable or something like that. So there's lots of different types of writing included in this, which I think really is beneficial to kids that learn from different styles of teaching. This will kind of encompass a lot of those things together. Each week's lessons that this has, there's like 5 or 6 different segments that you would do. And since we only do writing twice a week, we just double up then on the days that we're actually working on it so that we can still get through it all together. It probably still only takes us 30 to 45 minutes when we get this out. So I feel like this is a good fit to still be able to cover everything that we need to cover and not take up all day to do language arts. A lot of times my kids will ask if they could just write a paragraph for something rather than doing the curriculum for a given day. And a lot of times I will say yes to that because I feel like it's valuable if they are interested in something and have taken that initiative to want to do something. I don't want to squash that in them. I allow them sometimes the opportunity to pursue their own interest in this area. And I feel like that is a tremendous benefit in allowing a lot more enjoyment and pleasure in the writing process. My oldest, again, will spend a lot of time that is just self-directed in writing because that is something that he loves and chooses to do. But he does still have a writing curriculum that he's going going through. And this year he's doing Write Shop 1 and 2. And this is technically a high school level writing, but because he's so interested in writing and he is advanced, this is what was a fit for him at the level that he's on. So again, like with anything, it is so important to teach your children at the level that they're at. And that is one of the tremendous blessings that we have as homeschoolers, to be able to be flexible and meet our kids where they're at, not where the state standards say that they should be. This Write Shop curriculum does have them cover a lot more topics about how to write things in a narrative style, or from a first person perspective, or essays, or persuasive arguments, and all the different types of writing. My oldest does do writing 4 days a week, sometimes 5, but he's required to do a lesson in his Write Shop notebook twice a week, and then the other 2 times a week he is allowed to do creative writing, because again, I don't want to stifle that interest level in him and where he is really excited and passionate about by making him do something that he's not as interested in doing. So I'm more than happy to make sure that he is writing every day, but I don't dictate every day what he has to write about. And I find that that's a good balance of being able to be free and have some of that independent driven learning, but also having some structure on the other side to make sure he is learning new concepts and things that he might not necessarily choose to write about on his own. From a very early age, we have worked with our kids on creative storytelling, and I feel like that has been a huge benefit that we have seen further on in our kids' education that has just carried down. And the way that we would always do this, my husband had this idea when the kids were really little, where he would just tell stories with the kids every night when we put them to bed. So he would make up a story and then he would have them make up a story. And so every night they got into this practice of coming up with a story. And it started out very little and simple and just cute and innocent little stories. But over time, they began to get more and more and more elaborate. We would get out our phones and record a voice memo of them telling their story. And I want to play you one because it's so, so cute.
Once upon a time, there was me walking on the mountain volcano. And the mountain gave me a sleep. And amen.
I have definitely seen tremendous benefits of having done this creative storytelling from the time they were little up until now. My 7th grader is still just loves writing. He has worked over the last couple years on writing a book, and so it has evolved from just these cute little stories into something that is much, much bigger. And I really honestly see him having the potential to do some form of writing as a career in the future, because he has always loved it and he just really excels at it. And I really believe that that is because it has been something that has been fun from the time that they were little, rather than something that they were forced to do that they hated to do. So again, with any of our school subjects, I really find that it's tremendously valuable to have the things that you're doing be something that your child is interested in some way or another. Ask their input, get their involvement in choosing what curriculum you use or what types of things to write about, since we're talking about writing, versus only dictating the things that they have to do because that's what's in the curriculum. I'm certainly much more interested in my children actually writing something and getting something on the page than me telling them the exact topic that they have to write about. Be willing to let them branch out from the things and be okay with that. Voice memos have also been a fantastic tool that we have used, particularly again for my dyslexic child when it comes to creative writing. If you put a blank paper in front of him, he just blanks out and has no idea what to put on the paper. But he could sit and talk things out and come up with some amazing ideas. And so sometimes I will still have him just tell me a story or tell me a paragraph or whatever it is when it comes to writing anything for school subjects. And I will record the voice memo of him telling me the things and then let him listen to that back as he copies it down on the piece of paper. And that really, really helps him to get the thoughts that are going on inside of his head onto the page. So if you have a child struggling with that kind of process of working through that, try doing a voice memo and recording them, or a video of them saying something and then have them listen back and either handwrite it out or type it up, and see if that helps out. Okay, so let's move on to grammar. Grammar is kind of one of those snooze fest subjects. When it comes to writing and grammar, especially with the younger ages, as long as they are able to exhibit the skill and ability to do writing well, I'm much more concerned about that than I am the actual verbiage and technicality of what different things are called within the writing, if that makes sense. So I definitely don't place as much of an emphasis on the formality of grammar as I do the ability to execute the use of proper grammar and writing. Grammar, I feel like, is one of those things that in part it's learned kind of by osmosis, just by reading good writing and noticing the grammar and the sentence structure and those kind of things as you read. I feel like it is super important for you to make sure that your kids are reading a lot, or you are reading with them, so that they hear English spoken properly. And that really then translates onto how well they learn grammar as they go about doing it. And grammar, I don't feel like you really need to start at a very young age. There's only so much to grammar, and all of it honestly could be learned in like 1 year of a high school language arts curriculum, and then you'd be done. But I did find a great curriculum that we started using this year that we are all really enjoying, and that is Fixit Grammar from IEW. This is the curriculum that I'm using again with my 3rd grader and 5th grader together. They tell you that no matter what grade level you're at, you should start with this book. So because this is the first year that we have done Fixit Grammar, they are doing this together, and it works really well to have them do it at the same time, so we can just talk through it all together versus me having to teach each of them individually. The concept with Fixit Grammar is it basically has this story, and each day it has one sentence that you go over and you mark all your parts of speech. So it's teaching you things like the nouns and verbs and adjectives and articles and all of those things. So each day you go through and you mark on the sentence what types of speech each of the words are that are in your sentence, and you add your end marks. And then once you have that all marked up, we will talk then about what words fell under which category of the part of speech, and then they write in their notebook the corrected form of the sentence. And this is formatted where there would be 4 days that you would do a lesson of this in a week, where you just do the one sentence. But again, since we only do grammar twice a week, we are actually doing 2 or 3 of those sentences each time that we do it, so that we can still keep up with the curriculum as we go throughout the year, but not have to do it every single day. And that works really well for us. I personally feel like it works out really well, especially with the younger ages, to not force too much of like the sentence diagramming or just the monotonous tedium of grammar and some of the other stuff that goes along with language arts. So I really find that this Fixit Grammar is a nice, gentle approach to teaching grammar and all the parts of speech and all of that kind of stuff without being too structured that they just hate doing it. For my oldest with grammar, some of that stuff is kind of taught in the curriculum that he's doing. For us, more of it is just kind of reading through what he's written and talking about how we can make the sentences better or restructure things, and making sure that he's got proper grammar. So he doesn't necessarily have a grammar curriculum on his own. If you missed my video about how we teach reading and spelling, make sure you click on this video right here. But before you leave, drop in the comments below how you teach writing and grammar. Do you have any resources that have been really beneficial in your family? I'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up button below, and I'll see you next time when we talk all about math. Thanks for watching. Bye.